You got your garlic. You got your crucifix. You got some silver bullets. You got a wooden stake. All right, Pika, you're all set. Hey there. It's time. Once again, for the 31 days of Halloween, we are celebrating Halloween with horror movies. And we're going to do a horror movie each day of the month of October. It's a fun thing. There's a bunch of people doing it. It's been fun so far sharing our picks with each other. I'm very, very grateful and blessed for that. This is the 1974 made-for-TV version by Dan Curtis, starring Jack Palance as Count Dracula. And this was directed by the Dark Shadows creator, Dan Curtis. Dark Shadows was a 60s TV show about Barnabas Collins, and it's a very soap opera. Dark Shadows was an American Gothic soap opera that aired weekdays on ABC from 1966 to 1971. The show depicted the lives, loves, trials, and tribulations of the wealthy Collins family of Collinsport, Maine, where many a supernatural occurrence occurs. Jack Palance was a huge actor back then, and he brings a sense of machismo to Count Dracula that I haven't seen in any other version. Not Bela Lugosi's and not Christopher Lee's, both whom are just really good versions themselves. But this was nice because it was the adaptation was made by Richard Matheson. Who is Richard Matheson? He wrote I Am Legend. He is a prolific horror writer, and I Am Legend is an post-apocalyptic horror, but it's about he's the last human on Earth because the surviving humans have been turned into vampires. So there's been a couple of adaptations of I Am Legend. The Omega Man with Charlton Heston, The Last Man on Earth in 1964 with Vincent Price, which is probably my favorite adaptation of it. And there was also I Am Legend with Will Smith, which diverted a lot from the source material. This is one of the things I'm doing with the Dracula movies is I'm keen on adaptation and how much it divergences from Bram Stoker's original 1897 book, Dracula. So in this, we are omitting Dr. Seward, Quincy Morris, but we're keeping Arthur Holmwood. Arthur Holmwood is Lucy's fiance, and it's really exaggerating the relationship between Dracula and Lucy. Dracula actually thinks that Lucy is the reincarnation of his dead wife, and that's something I do not believe was a story note in Dracula, the book itself, which I just read. I could be wrong. Let me just look at it real quick. Yeah, the Weakies. But, yeah, so it starts off with Jonathan Harker going to Castle Dracula to draw papers up for the Count who wants to move to England and buy some property. There's no Renfield in this. There's, yeah, so, and actually this story beat of Dracula thinking Lucy is his dead wife come back repeats again in 1992's Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, where that relationship is used with Mina Harker. Mina Murray in this stays Mina Murray. She doesn't go to Budapest to save Jonathan Harker. Jonathan Harker in the book escapes from Castle Dracula in The Three Dracula Brides, and ends up in a Budapest hospital, barely getting noticed to Mina in England. And Mina leaves everyone in England and goes to Budapest, where she marries Jonathan at his bedside and helps him convalesce. They return to England as a married couple. And they survive happily ever after. And this, Jonathan is thrown to the vampire brides and becomes a vampire himself. By the end of this movie, he when Van Helsing and Arthur go into the castle, to save Mina by they brought Mina along like they do in the book to go to Transylvania and to confront Count Dracula. They meet Jonathan Harker, who has been vampired, and he's attacking them, and he loses his undead unlife to the hands of Arthur Holmwood. And it's interesting to see the divergences between the source material and the adaptation here. So, and this one, it's actually quite beautiful. Like the sets, the colors, the costumes, the location shots. It's really interesting. I'm very, very, I was very pleased with this version. I was, and I had no problems with this, or like, it was he shot all locations in Yugoslavia, which were where there were old castles and quiet lands, and England, where the remainder of the story is set. So, there's not much to say about this version. This is, what am I watching today for a day? What is the 11th of October, and the 11th day of Halloween. I'm watching Dan Curtis's made-for-TV 1974 Dracula, and I'm just relishing the differences, because each one of these Dracula movies that are based off of Bram Stoker's primary source material, they all have their little differences. They all diverge slightly from the source, and they become their own stories. And this one, it was okay. It wasn't great, but I'm a kid of this age. I was born in the early 70s. So I find the pacing of this, and the actors, and the look of this, the feel of this, to be very nostalgic and very pleasing as well. But, so what are you watching today for your horror movie? Let me know in the comments section. Continue this conversation there. We are doing the 31 Days of Halloween. We are watching a different a different horror movie every day in October, leading up to the end, Halloween night, where I'm watching one of my all-time favorite horror movies. That kind of hits me culturally, too, you know what I mean? But, this has been Dan Curtis's Dracula. I also wish I picked up the 1979 Frank Langella Dracula. I'll do that for next year. And also the mid-70s blaxploitation film Blackula, and which is really cool. I mean, I love mid-70s blaxploitation movies. It's its own genre. It's a sense of style, of music, of feel, I'm a city boy, and so they're very urban tales, and I find it very charming. But this wasn't bad. It's all the elemental things, but I think it's interesting. There's no Renfield, or maybe they composite Renfield into Jonathan Harker by keeping him by turning him into a vampire and making him into a thrall of Dracula and Dracula's brides, his three brides. And I like how they keep the three brides as well. And that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. Like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day. We're talking about horror movies every day this month. I got a double daily dose of fresh content for you. If you want to tune in, join us. Be part of the conversation. Yep. Distracted by daylight. Staked in the heart. And that is it for Lord Dracula. as we end with, and it has a bit of the historical Dracula in here too. That there was a historical Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, and he lived in the mid to late 1400s, in Hungary and in Transylvania. And we'll read from the book later. It'll be story time later. But yeah, it's Dan Curtis's Dracula, 1974. It's I hunted it down on DVD, and this is a celebration of my physical media collection as well. Doing this the Poke Geek Singularity style, where we respect our physical media of DVDs and Blu-rays. And so, yeah, this is off of my shelf. I have a stack of 31 movies just for this month alone. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to my collection. I love movies. If you love movies too, you're in the right place at the right time. You're watching the right show. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. We'll see you again tomorrow. And, don't let in any vampires. And, keep some holy water and some silver bullets around and stuff like that, All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, and what's tomorrow? Oh, good question. Tomorrow, we're doing 1992 Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. This was a huge, big movie, big budget, big cast, big expectations, big disappointment. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.